Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We all been appearing for IELTS exams for many times, I'll say. There are many students who face problems when scoring good band scores, particularly in the speaking and the writing modules. There are specific reasons behind it that they lack the scores, and it's just very simple. What happens is when you attempt the writing module, students generally face problem in understanding what exactly the question is demanding out of it when it comes to the answer drafting. The structure plays an important role as well when it comes to writing 2 formation. So what we need to do when we go through the question for writing task 2, we need to thoroughly understand what exactly the question demands out of it. We all are aware that the question do have agreement or disagreement kind of things, or advantages, disadvantages, merits or demerits, problems or solutions. So many of the institutes do provide the information that if you are onto the agreement side, you do not need to mention the disagreement of the question that has been asked. But what you do miss on when you do not answer the disagreement side of the question, you lack to make the content that easily states the differences between the agreements and disagreements. What the question is asking for is both. Discuss the advantages or disadvantages, or do you agree or disagree with the statement? In any of these questions, we need to make sure we go for both the sides illustrations. So we mention specific points for the agreement and we mention specific sides for the disagreements as well. There's a set format that needs to be followed in these task 2 formations. So what we do, we follow a 3-point structure when it comes to task 2. And honestly, trust me, examiner who assesses your exam do not have that much time to practically go through every single word and count your word length. It does say write at least 250 words, but that doesn't mean that every time you need to count those 250 words. How you make the structure for writing task 2 is depending upon to the length of the introduction, the elaborative paragraph 1, the elaborative paragraph 2, and the summary you mention it in. So what you do with the 3-point structure, you assume that your one line have 5 to 6 words at an average. Stating this, what you do, 2.5 lines for 1 point when writing down the introduction. Similarly, when it comes to the elaborative paragraph, what you do, you state 1 point, you elaborate that, and you provide an example for that. Similarly, and all this needs to follow into a way that your paragraph 1 with your first point, illustration, and the example that you give for that point, proving that point to be agreement or the disagreement. What you do, this all needs to come in between 10 to 12 lines. Further to this, you state the second point in 2.5 lines again, and then you elaborate that point, that what exactly you want to say in this point. And then what you were sitting at is about 15 to 16 lines after this. So what after this, you need to follow the third point. If your length is less than 18 lines after stating the third point, what you need to do, you need to elaborate the third point too. But if you're sitting at about 18 to 19 lines after even mentioning the third point, you need not to worry about stating that third point further elaboratively. This pattern goes for the paragraph 2 as well, similar to the agreement side or the disagreement side, whatever you take into the first paragraph. For the second paragraph too, you do the same thing. You mention the first point, elaboratively state that, and you quote an example for this, proving the first point to be on either of the side, whether it is agreement or disagreement. Then you follow the second point, elaboration of this. All this needs to come between 15 to 16 lines, and then the third point is quoted. The pattern remains the same. If the lines are less than 18, you elaboratively explain the third point, and then you finish the second paragraph. For the summary, you introduce a normal common line stating that there are certainly advantages and disadvantages upon analyzing both the concepts. Generally remains same for the summary for all type of questions. Second point for the summary is to state your opinion onto it. Then in here, you use the pronouns using you as an example or I as an example. State that I believe that, I personally hold this view. In this, you state whether you are onto the agreement side or the disagreement side, followed by the third point that needs to be a kind of a futuristic statement that what could be the impacts of this in the future, whether this topic is for the agreement or disagreement. The future of the line depends upon to what you state into it. So this how the structure needs to be formed when it comes to writing tasks 2. So overall, what you do, introduction 6 to 8 lines, followed by the paragraph 1 needs to be 18 to 19 lines, paragraph 2 similar length 18 to 19, followed by the summary for again 6 to 8 lines. Altogether, you contribute to about 50 lines, taking it as an average for 5 words in a line. You accomplish your objective of writing 250 words. For more such information and videos, do subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more.